It's hard to believe, but deep beneath the Sierra Nevada, the ground is breaking apart. Scientists say parts of California's crust are peeling away from the Earth below.
Scientists say they've found evidence the Earth's crust is peeling away beneath California's Sierra Nevada mountain range after reviewing earthquake data and imaging deep rock formations.
It's hard to believe, but deep under the Sierra Nevada, scientists now see signs that the very ground is peeling away from itself. Recent geophysical studies suggest that the lithosphere, the rigid shell of Earth that includes crust and upper mantle, is actively detaching beneath parts of California. Under the central Sierras, seismic imaging and anisotropy data reveals shear zones between 40 and 70 kilometers deep, where rock layers are literally sliding downward into the mantle, a process geologists call lithospheric foundering. In some places, that peeling seems to have already occurred. In others, it's still in progress. What's staggering is how subtle the surface appears. No huge cracks, no cataclysmic quakes, just a creeping shift deep inside, quietly changing the mountain's foundation. Beneath Yosemite and the central Sierra, the crust is being restructured from within. The dense lower lithosphere is being torn off, altering how stress travels upward. If this process accelerates, the consequences could ripple outward. Changes in earthquake patterns, uplift and subsidence of mountain blocks, or even the reactivation of ancient faults. Earth's interior has begun to rearrange itself beneath California, and the mountains above may not stay the same for long. Want to follow this unfolding mystery? Subscribe and turn on alerts. We'll track every tremor, study and breakthrough as this hidden shift beneath the Sierras reveals itself. Chapter 1. California Uplift Mystery. What's rising under the Sierras? It's hard to believe, but something massive may be pushing upward beneath California's most famous mountains. The Sierra Nevada, a range that has towered for millions of years, is showing signs of subtle but accelerating uplift, and scientists aren't sure what's causing it. Recent satellite radar, InSAR data, reveals that certain regions, especially near Fresno, Yosemite and Bishop, are rising faster than expected, in some places by several millimeters a year.
At first, experts assumed the cause was normal isostatic rebound, the Earth's crust springing back as glaciers retreat. But new seismic models suggest something far stranger. A molten mass may be pushing up from below. Using deep Earth imaging, geophysicists at the University of California uncovered a dense blob of hot rock roughly 60 miles wide, lurking more than 30 kilometers beneath the mountains. It's moving slowly upward, replacing the old, cold lithosphere that appears to be sinking into the mantle. This process, known as lithospheric dripping, could rewrite our understanding of California's geology. The ground beneath the Sierra Nevada may not just be shifting, it's restructuring itself. If the rising heat continues, it could spark new volcanic activity or trigger stress changes across the state's vast fault system. Even more unsettling, gravity readings show the anomaly is growing. The US Geological Survey calls it a dynamic root replacement, while others describe it more ominously as the birth of a new geologic engine beneath the American West. If California's mountains are truly being lifted by forces from the deep, then the land we walk on might not be as stable as we think. And if this hidden giant keeps rising, what else might it awaken along the San Andreas?
Chapter 2. California crust collapse. The hidden lithospheric drip beneath the state. What if California's mountains aren't just rising, but collapsing from underneath? It sounds impossible, Yet deep beneath the Sierra Nevada, seismic sensors are detecting a massive piece of Earth's crust detaching and sinking into the mantle. This isn't an earthquake, it's something slower, deeper, and far stranger. A geologic event that may reshape the entire western United States. Scientists from Caltech and the University of Arizona describe it as a lithospheric drip. Imagine a blob of dense rock peeling off the base of the crust and plunging downward like a raindrop in slow motion. As it sinks, hotter, lighter mantle material rises to take its place. That upward surge, scientists say, could be what's lifting California's mountain ranges today. But here's the chilling part. That rising mantle is also injecting heat, stress, and magma into the surrounding crust. Small quakes, unexpected thermal anomalies, and rising gas emissions are all being recorded near regions like Owens Valley and the southern Sierra foothills. These might be the surface whispers of a transformation happening miles below our feet. If this process accelerates, it could destabilize nearby fault zones, including parts of the San Andreas system, and alter groundwater flow and volcanic pressure across the state. Researchers believe this geologic reset may have begun at least 10 million years ago, but new data suggests it's still happening right now. California is literally shedding its old skin, and no one can predict how long the process will last, or what it will awaken next. If the earth beneath the Sierras has begun to melt, crack, and rebuild itself, then the real question isn't what's rising, it's what's waiting to break through. Chapter 3. Volcano warning: rising heat beneath California's granite heart. What if Yosemite's beauty is hiding a rising force of destruction beneath its granite walls? Tourists come from all over the world to stand before Half Dome and the Yosemite Valley, but few realize that beneath this peaceful landscape, something immensely powerful and dangerously alive is stirring. Recent geothermal imaging conducted by the US Geological Survey has revealed unusual heat signatures spreading beneath the Sierra Nevada batholith, the ancient granite backbone that forms much of Yosemite National Park. At depths of 30 to 50 kilometers, scientists have identified a large, mushroom-shaped plume of superheated rock slowly pushing upward. It's not a volcano yet, but it could become one.
This plume appears to be part of the same lithospheric drip process happening beneath the Sierra Nevada. As dense rock sinks into the mantle, molten material rises to replace it, bringing heat and pressure to the surface. That's why seismic waves in this region travel slower than expected. The crust here is warmer, weaker, and expanding. Incredibly, certain thermal springs across the park have begun showing higher helium isotope ratios, a geochemical sign of magma movement deep below. Meanwhile, satellite radar is detecting small but measurable uplift near the park's eastern edge, just millimeters each year, but consistent enough to prove the ground is responding to something alive beneath it. Geologists say it's not a cause for panic, yet. But if the heat plume continues to rise, it could reshape not only Yosemite, but the entire Sierra Nevada. A new volcanic system could be in the making, buried beneath one of the world's most iconic landscapes. If fire is truly rising beneath California's granite heart, then Yosemite might not just be a monument to the past, but a warning of what's coming next.
Chapter 4. Sierra Nevada Uplift. NASA confirms California's mountains are moving. What if California's mountains are slowly rising right now, and no one can stop it? Across the Sierra Nevada, precise satellite measurements reveal something scientists once thought impossible. The entire range is lifting upward in real time. Using data from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the European Space Agency's Sentinel-1 radar, researchers have documented steady crustal uplift,
millimeter by millimeter, along hundreds of miles of peaks stretching from Bakersfield to Lake Tahoe. At first, experts blamed glacial rebound, the crust expanding upward as ancient ice melts away. But deeper models tell another story. Beneath the range, gravity mapping satellites have detected mass loss inside the Earth itself, meaning something far below is shifting. Seismic imaging shows a vast, sponge-like region where the lower crust has thinned and partly melted. It's as if the mountains are being inflated from below by slow waves of heat rising through weakened rock.
This movement isn't isolated. Around the eastern Sierra, near Owens Valley and Mammoth Lakes, geologists are recording microquakes and ground deformation that match the timing of these uplift pulses. Groundwater levels fluctuate, springs warm, even long dormant faults show minor creep. Each signal hints that the Sierra block is flexing, not collapsing, but breathing. Scientists warn that such stress changes can subtly redistribute pressure along California's fault network, including the San Andreas system to the west and the Walker Lane fault zone to the east, both capable of major earthquakes. The ground beneath California's most beautiful landscape is literally moving underfoot, but so slowly that only satellites can feel it. If this hidden rise continues, how long before the planet decides to remind us who's really in charge? Want the latest on Earth's quietest but most powerful movements? Subscribe and stay tuned, because the mountains are speaking and the message is getting louder. Chapter 5. California faults reactivating, hidden earthquakes beneath the Sierra Nevada. What if California's next great earthquake doesn't start on the San Andreas, but under the mountains themselves? For decades, all eyes have been on California's coast, where the infamous San Andreas fault has stolen every headline. But now, seismologists are warning that the danger may be shifting inland. Beneath the Sierra Nevada, ancient fault zones once thought dormant are showing new signs of life, and scientists are struggling to understand why. A network of small but persistent tremors has been recorded beneath the eastern Sierra, stretching from Owens Valley to Mammoth Lakes. These microquakes, invisible to humans but crystal clear to sensors, form long linear clusters that align perfectly with deep fractures in the crust. Many of these cracks trace back to faults that produced massive earthquakes in the distant past, long before modern records began. What's waking them now may be the same force lifting the mountains themselves, rising heat from the mantle. As California's lower crust drips and reshapes, it's redistributing pressure through the Sierra block, bending, stretching, and cracking the rocks above. The result? Faults that haven't moved in thousands of years are slowly reactivating. The US Geological Survey has quietly updated several hazard models for the region, expanding risk zones once thought safe. Some of these reawakened faults sit alarmingly close to reservoirs, power plants, and key infrastructure routes that connect inland California to the coast. Experts don't know when the next big rupture will strike, but they agree on one thing: the Sierra Nevada is no longer the stable mountain range we imagined it to be. If California's backbone begins to crack, will the coast be ready for the shockwave coming from the heart of the state itself? Chapter 6. Magma corridor under California. Scientists detect molten flow beneath the Sierras. It's hard to imagine, but a river of molten rock may already be flowing beneath California's mountains. Beneath the Sierra Nevada and stretching toward the Central Valley, new seismic tomography has revealed what experts describe as a magma corridor, a semi-molten zone extending for more than 400 kilometers through the state's crust. While not a single continuous magma chamber, this corridor connects smaller hot zones, each generating its own seismic fingerprint. This hidden network may explain the persistent low-frequency tremors recently recorded across the Sierra foothills. These earthquakes that never fully break are unlike typical quakes. They pulse in slow motion, lasting minutes instead of seconds. The pattern matches similar signals observed before volcanic reactivations in regions like Chile and Alaska. And now, it's appearing beneath California. Geophysicists believe the corridor was formed when denser parts of the lower crust detached, a process called delamination, allowing buoyant molten material from the mantle to rise in their place. That rising heat is not only deforming the crust, but also warming aquifers, shifting groundwater flows, and feeding thermal anomalies that surface as hot springs and geysers. Thermal imaging from satellites shows subtle heat increases along key stretches of the Sierra Nevada fault network, while gravity data confirms mass loss beneath the range, meaning lighter molten rock is replacing denser, cooler material.
This isn't a Hollywood supervolcano, but it could be the slow birth of one. If the magma corridor expands or connects with existing volcanic systems like Long Valley or Coso, California could face a new era of geothermal instability. If the Earth is building something beneath California's mountains, it's doing it in silence. One pulse, one tremor, one breath at a time. The question is, when that system finally exhales, will we still call them mountains or something entirely new? Chapter 7. Sierra Nevada Void Discovery. Crust hollowing beneath California's mountains. What if the mountains aren't growing taller, but hollowing from the inside out? Recent seismic and gravity scans have revealed something that's left researchers stunned. Large low-density zones forming beneath sections of California's Sierra Nevada and its eastern foothills. Instead of solid rock, these areas appear porous, fractured, and partially empty, as if the crust itself is slowly dissolving from below. The implications are enormous. These underground voids could explain the strange ground subsidence and uplift patterns recorded across the Sierra and Central Valley, the surface moving up and down like a slow-motion tide. In some areas, the crust is bending upward from heat expansion. In others, it's sagging where mass is draining away. But what terrifies scientists most is what could happen if one of these weak zones collapses. A sudden crustal adjustment, even a small one, could trigger chain reactions along nearby faults, potentially reawakening ancient seismic scars that stretch toward the San Andreas system. California's mountains may look unshakable from above, but their foundations tell another story, one of decay, pressure, and change. If the earth beneath the Sierra Nevada is turning into a maze of molten hollows, then the ground we call home may be far more fragile than we dare to imagine. And if the crust finally gives way, what rises next could redefine the shape of California itself. Chapter 8. California, breathing earth. Sierra Nevada rising and falling like a living giant. What if California's mountains are alive, rising and falling like a sleeping giant? It sounds like science fiction, but satellite data doesn't lie. According to new findings from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and UC Berkeley, parts of the Sierra Nevada and Central Valley are literally moving up and down throughout the year, shifting as if the Earth itself were breathing. Scientists call it seasonal uplift, but what they're discovering goes far beyond simple cycles. In some regions, the rise and fall exceed 20 millimeters per year, far too much to be explained by water storage alone. Using GPS and InSAR data, researchers now believe these pulses are tied to deep magmatic pressure changes beneath the crust, subtle movements of molten rock that make the ground flex like the surface of a living organism. This movement isn't isolated. Thermal cameras and satellite-based gravity sensors have confirmed fluctuating density zones beneath the southern Sierra, meaning something below is shifting, perhaps magma pockets expanding and contracting with heat. These aren't volcanic eruptions, yet. They're the quiet prelude, the heartbeat before something wakes. Chapter 9. California Mountains Awakening. Final warning from beneath the Sierra Nevada. It's not a matter of imagination anymore. California's mountains are trying to tell us something. After years of quiet data collection, satellite imaging, seismographs, and thermal scans,
all point to one chilling reality. The Sierra Nevada is not a static landscape. It's changing, breathing, rising, and cracking, piece by piece. Scientists now understand that this isn't random. It's the result of a powerful cycle beneath our feet: mantle upwelling, crustal dripping, and stress redistribution. A feedback loop that reshapes entire continents. Beneath the granite calm of Yosemite, under the desert silence of Owens Valley, and below the dense forests of Sequoia, the crust is slowly being rewritten. It's as if California's foundations are reprogramming themselves for the next geological era. Every tremor, every pulse of heat, every millimeter of uplift recorded by satellites is part of the same vast rhythm, the heartbeat of a living planet. While we see mountains as ancient and immovable, they are in truth dynamic, unpredictable, and alive. What lies beneath them is not destruction alone, but transformation, a reminder that the Earth never sleeps. Experts warn that this slow revolution under California could have major implications for everything from water systems to seismic safety. But it also reveals something awe-inspiring. We are witnessing the rebirth of the land itself, a process that takes millions of years condensed into human time. The ground beneath California is, through quakes, heat, and motion. That change is coming. The question is not if, but how soon. If you followed it this far, don't stop here. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue to uncover what's happening beneath America's most mysterious landscapes, from the Sierra Nevada to the Cascades and beyond. Because the Earth isn't finished moving, it's only just begun to speak.